Welcome dear doctors to the class of pediatrics, to the 𝗘𝗵𝗵. I am Dr. 𝗵𝗵𝗺, your pediatric faculty and mentor. The topic of discussion for this video is going to be malrotation. Okay, so we are in this part of the congenital abnormalities of GIT, malrotation. Now, there are different types of rotations. I belong to a Punjabi family. We belong by caste we are Punjabis, but then we follow Hinduism, right? And there's a rotation in Hinduism also, and most of the times I have seen most of the brides, most of the grooms to say that that rotation is also a malrotation. So coming back to the topic, malrotation. Now malrotation means abnormal rotation. Now why rotation? What is this rotation, and why this rotation is actually required? So I hope that you are well aware of this fact that during childhood what happens is that there is a 270 degrees of rotation, and which is going to occur, 270 degree anti-clockwise rotation that is going to get occur in order to have the organs in position. Okay, so that's why it is important. It's a part of embryological development which has to occur. Okay, which has to occur in every individual. In fact, you, me, and every one of us have undergone that rotation. Okay. Now, what is important in malrotation? Please understand, malrotation is abnormal rotation. Now, this abnormal rotation can be a non-rotation, can be an incomplete rotation, and can be a reversed rotation. All right. So what happens in non-rotation? See, I am not going to discuss about embryology now. My whole focus, my whole concern is going to be on what are the non-rotation, incomplete rotation, and reverse rotation. Non-rotation means what? See, non-rotation, that means no rotation has occurred. That's why neither the colon or the duodenum undergoes rotation. Okay, so because the colon and duodenum is not undergoing rotation, okay, this is called as non-rotation. What is incomplete rotation? It's a counterclockwise or anti-clockwise rotation of only 180 degrees. That means the final turn has not came. So this is incomplete. Rotation started but not completed. This is incomplete. And reverse rotation means there is a clockwise rotation. Reverse rotation means there is a clockwise rotation. But what is the question they ask you from this topic is that by the end of non-rotation, what is going to happen? So please understand, by the end of non-rotation, what happens is that the large intestine is present on the left side. This is seen in non-rotation. This is seen in non-rotation. But what happens in incomplete? So in incomplete rotation, see, at the end of, so first 90 degree, second 90 degree, and third 90 degree. So at the end of third 90 degree rotation, or you can say after 180 degree rotation, what happens in the third rotation, that the cecum, this is the cecum has to go in the subhepatic area. Okay, the cecum has to go in the subhepatic area, but can you see there is nothing in the subhepatic area? This is something which is a part of incomplete rotation. So the cecum is going to be in epigastrium, which is going to lie over the third part of the duodenum, but cecum is not subhepatic. Okay, so you can write it that the cecum is not subhepatic. It is not subhepatic. That is something which is seen in incomplete rotation. How to remember? Please understand, incomplete rotation. Okay, so in incomplete rotation, C is important, that the cecum is not going to descend and it's not going to come what? It's not going to come subhepatically. And what happens when it is a reverse rotation? So in reverse rotation, the duodenojejunal loop is anterior to the SMA and the transverse is posterior to SMA. So what happens if it is rotating clockwise, what happens normally, that the transverse colon, okay, this is something which happens normally, that the large intestine, the transverse colon is actually anterior, whereas the small intestine is actually posterior. But since the reverse is going to happen, the reverse is going to happen in posterior and anterior. Okay, so what is important? Please remember that the anterior is going to be what? The large intestine is going to be anterior. Posterior going what? Posterior small intestine. And what is R? R for reverse rotation. R is for reverse. So reverse rotation is going to have posterior and anterior thing. Okay, so this is the basis of understanding what, in order to understand the malrotation, I have told you 2-3 things. So embryologically, if I just discuss, what happens is the midgut is going to herniate into the umbilical cord. Okay, the midgut is actually, see what happens now, the baby is very small and the abdomen is, abdominal cavity is less, okay, cavity space is less. How much focus to nahi gaya? So abdominal cavity is smaller one. Can you understand? The abdominal cavity is smaller one. So what is the thing which you have to understand? That abdominal cavity is small, so in order to grow, the contents are going to go from the abdominal cavity outside. So the midgut is going to herniate into the umbilical cord at 33rd day. It is going to show a rotation of 270 degrees counterclock or anti-clockwise around the superior mesenteric artery. So it's going to, along the superior mesenteric artery, it's just going to show this rotation, okay. And of course, it's going to get re-enter and then it is going to get fixed. But failure of midgut rotation, if it is not properly rotating, okay, and abnormal fixation, it is a risk factor for volvulus. Okay, so what is volvulus? Volvulus is nothing but abnormally rotated and fixed. Okay, abnormally rotated and fixed gut is called as gut volvulus. Okay, so I think I've tried to tell you what are the different malrotations, and now the definition of volvulus is also clear to you. Okay, so failure of midgut rotation and abnormal fixation is called as volvulus. Now, this volvulus is most often related with either the diaphragmatic hernia or the duodenal atresia or the jejunal-ileal atresia. Now, why atresia is going to happen? See, duodenum is a big structure. It requires a good amount of space to grow. So, for example, if it is not having that space, the lumen is not going to get formed and it will be a thick rod-like structure, atresia. Similarly, with the jejunum and the ileum, if they are not getting this space, it will be atresia. Sometimes in order to create another, some large space, they are going to pierce the diaphragm and they are going to go above, called as diaphragmatic hernia. This volvulus is, or the midgut, the malrotation is more commonly occurring in males. So MAL, malrotation, right? So MAL, malrotation is male predominant. Okay. Now, some other defects can also occur like omphalocele and gastroschisis. Okay, we have discussed already omphalocele and gastroschisis in the abdominal examination, but just to give you a quick review, what happens in omphalocele? So in omphalocele, the midgut fails to return into the abdominal cavity, but it is covered with a shiny peritoneum. Okay, and in gastroschisis, it is the failure of peritoneal covering. The peritoneum fails to develop, okay, and umbilical cord lies to the left side of the defect, whereas in omphalocele it passes through the defect. Why I have told you this? Because these are also the gut abnormalities, the omphalocele and the omphalocele and gastroschisis, and there are many times they are associated with the abnormal rotation or malrotation also. So what you have to do, see, if the malrotation is occurring in the first decade of life, what happens in malrotation, you have to understand that there will be a sudden bilious vomiting. Why sudden bilious vomiting? Why bilious vomiting for that matter? So please understand that this malrotation and everything is occurring in the small intestine after the opening of, please understand, this is going to occur in the small intestine after the opening of bile. Okay, after the opening of bile it is occurring. So that's why, after the opening of bile duct, that's why whenever there is a malrotation, it will be squeezed and the child is going to vomit out, bilious vomiting. Of course, because of the rotation, improper rotation, there is abdominal pain that is going to be there, and of course there will be abdominal distension. So in chronic cases, there is recurrent abdominal pain, and of course the malabsorption is going to occur. So how to diagnose it? You can do upper gastrointestinal contrast studies for sure, and ultrasound can also be done. Treatment is Ladd's procedure. So what is Ladd's procedure? First of all, you have to reduce the volvulus, okay, and then because the volvulus was there now, I told you that it is going to get malrotated and then going to get inside the body, and then abdominal cavity, and getting fixed there. So it is getting fixed with the help of what? With the mesentery only. Okay, so we will divide the mesenteric bands also. Okay, so we reduce the volvulus, divide the mesenteric band and reposition. Okay, reposition, that is small bowel on the right, large bowel on the left, and we do the appendectomy also. Prophylactically appendectomy is also done. Okay, so lad's procedure, first of all, anti-clockwise detorsion of the volvulus. So volvulus, detorsion of the volvulus is important. Then division of the lad's band. Division of the lad's band means cutting the mesentery, and then widening of the mesentery we do. Then appendectomy we also do, incidental. That means, incidental as in sometimes we see that the appendix is also, inflamed and not proper, and in that case we remove it. Otherwise also appendix is a vestigial organ, so we have a habit to remove it. Then positioning of the cecum on the left side, small bowel on the right side, and all these things are done. Lad's operation, it is done for what? It is done for the malrotation. So MAL, LA is going to come. LA is for lad's operation. So this is the way to remember this, and with this I'll take your leave. Thank you so much. Make sure that you are not malrotating. किसी के चक्कर में घूम नहीं रहे हो. Make sure that. Okay. God bless you. We'll see you in the next video.